What's up everyone, and welcome back to another video. So as you guys can see in these videos, I will go over my main pairs, which are these dollar pairs and these yen pairs, and I will analyze the chart for today and see what's up. So let's begin by looking at the DXY, and as we mentioned yesterday, we took liquidity under the low, but now I'm waiting for that daily fractal to break in order to go long or break again to the downside, and then I will be looking at some shorts again, like a falling knife. So falling knife, we trade down lower, we consolidate, and then we trade down lower again. So that could happen if we break the low and then we can trade down lower, or once again that fractal high break in order to trade up higher. Going over to the 4 hour, there is nothing much to watch. Because I'm still waiting for a daily fractal, which is this high, or a daily fractal low, which is this low, to get broken. So on the 4 hour, it's the same like this. Going over to Euro USD then, looking at the daily, it's the opposite of the DXY, of course. So we got our daily fractal break over here. And now we have our daily fractal low on this low, and our daily fractal high, of course, is at this high. Now keep in mind, we are now still in demand, right? So this could push price up higher in towards that supply zone, which is still open, and from this supply I would look for A+ shorts. So going over the 4 hour, let's see if we can see if that demand is going to hold. So I think that this was our demand zone, or our refined demand zone. So going over to the 1 hour, what do I want to see? Of course, to hit that demand and then take some liquidity under this low. And if we then see some confirmation, let's just say boom, 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 and then we get some order flow being created, and I will show that in a second, then we can trade up higher, right? So over here, once we make another demand, then we would want to see another demand getting created and that order flow, right? So that's what I'm waiting for. But first we need to see a tap in towards this demand zone, and then I would want to see this occur in order to take a long in towards the highs again and trade with the daily fractal and momentum. Going over to GBP USD, to the 4 hour first, and then to the daily. So we are still inside this daily supply, nothing much is happening at the moment. So going over to the 4 hour again, what can we see? That we're kind of building this ascending pattern, right? And that we could see a breakout in towards the lows soon. So what I'm now waiting for is possibly this liquidity to get taken out, and then we can look for shorts again, right? So let's just see, that would be this liquidity, and if we get a move in towards that liquidity, then some confirmation, and then we could short. This would be a nice setup, or possibly break under the low, then one more time, so we know that price is actually ready to trade down lower, and then I will take a short from this supply in towards the lows again. For now, you can see that price is kind of rangy, so we really need to see a breakout into the downside or some liquidity to get grabbed before going at any shorts. Going over to ADUSD, going over to the daily, we can see that we have a bullish order flow because we have a demand zone over here, which gets respected, and we create new demand, and we could now trade up higher from this demand. But what I'm seeing is that we still need to make a touch to that demand, so that's also what I'm looking for. Going over to the 4 hour, Okay, we can see that we trade in towards this demand zone, and then we created new demand, which is this demand zone, which could push price up higher again, right? So we could also just trade up higher, in towards that swing high, because that is our goal, because we are swing bullish. But I'm still waiting for a daily demand to get taken or to get tapped and to take out the lows and then look at longs, because I don't want to step in at this moment in time when we still can swipe the lows first and then trade up higher. I just want to trade the most A+ setup, right? So I'm going to set my alert under this liquidity, and from there I will wait for that confirmation for something like this in order to go long again in towards the highs. Looking at NZD USD, exactly the same. So what are we looking at? To take out the swing high, because we are swing bullish and we still haven't tapped in towards this demand zone. So what I'm looking for is to take out this low, tap in towards the demand, then some confirmation. So a fractal break to the downside, fractal break to the upside. This is our confirmation, and then we can trade up higher in towards the swing high. Okay, so I'm still waiting. I have my alert ready on top of this demand zone, so that's what I'm waiting for. Going over to the yen pairs now, I'm looking at shorts, and let me tell you why. So looking at the daily, we can very clearly see that we reacted from this supply zone and we broke the daily fractal low over here. Okay, so what happened? We tapped that demand and then we trade down lower and we broke the daily fractal, which means that we now created new supply and that we should hold this daily fractal high, which happened over here. We respected this fractal, and what do I mean by respected? We didn't trade over it. We trade down lower and we respect the high. So now I'm waiting for another move down. You can also see that we now tap the monthly open so that we could get a reaction at this moment in time. Looking over at the 4 hour, yes, we are still 4 hour swing bullish, but we have 4 hour bearish order flow and the daily fractal is bearish, so I'm still looking at shorts. As you guys can see, this would be my setup on the yen basket, but of course you cannot trade the yen basket. But as you guys can see, we had some liquidity on top of these highs. This would be my entry then. Your stop loss above the supply zone, which is going to push price back down lower again. Perfect monthly and weekly open, which is going to push price lower in my opinion, but we'll see. And then I think that today price will trade under these lows. So this is what I'm looking out for. I'm waiting for lower time frame confirmation, and let me remove this. So we now see that we took liquidity above the high, and now we are looking at a lower time frame confirmation, which means that we trade down lower again, trade above the high, then a fractal break, then we create supply, and then we know, okay, price or the yen basket is ready to trade down lower again. Okay, going over to euro yen then, this would be the opposite. So as you guys can see, we now are grabbing liquidity under these liquidity lows, possibly a tap into that weekly open, and then we can trade up higher. But I am waiting for this demand zone to get tapped before looking at any more longs, because that is the A+ setup, right? You could also go long from this demand zone, but in my opinion, it is just not the safest option to trade long, because we still have an open demand zone, right? Plus, let's look at premium versus discount. Boom. We still need to make a touch with premium versus discount, right? With the 50% level. There's liquidity, there's an open demand, and the 50% is laying over here. So I'm definitely waiting first for this to get tapped, then confirmation, and then longs are A+. Okay? So that is what I'm waiting for. Now going over to GBP Yen. I am inside this swing position, but I'm looking for more scale-ins. So what I'm now looking at is possibly this setup. right? This purple setup. I was looking at this setup yesterday with once again entry on top of that liquidity and the weekly open and my stop loss underneath here. But then I was thinking that my stop loss wasn't that safe. So what did I do? I placed my entry on top of that liquidity, my stop loss under this low, and then just take the safest option, because if price comes in towards here, then this setup should be really nice to trade in towards the high. Okay, so why am I looking at longs? Because 4 hour is swing bearish. Why am I looking at longs? The reason is because we are failing to break the lows, right? So normally we could expect to break the lows and then trade down up higher and break the lows. Now we are respecting the lows and we trade up higher again and again. So now we create bullish order flow, and this bullish order flow could hold. And why could this hold? Well, as you can see on the daily, you can see that we grabbed liquidity under this low, meaning that we could take liquidity at the highs. So with that bullish order flow, we could easily take liquidity at the highs out, right? So that is why I'm looking at longs on GBP Yen. Okay, so going over to USD Yen, we can very clearly see, like I mentioned in yesterday's market outlook, that we will trade down lower from this supply zone. Unfortunately, I couldn't take any trade on this short because there was CPY, which made this more risky than it should be. So that's why I didn't take any trade. Now what I am expecting now is for us to just trade down lower again. Just trade down lower today, maybe a tap in towards that weekly open once again, and then from there trade down lower in towards the swing low. So this could be very possible. And why am I looking at shorts? Well, look at the weekly. We still miss connection on this weekly demand, so I'm definitely looking at a tap in towards the demand first and then some longs. Now why longs? Look at the daily. We just took liquidity under these lows, and then if we tap this demand, we could easily get a pullback into the highs again before going down lower or before trading up higher. So for now also the daily has bearish order flow. So what I would like to see is a swipe of the low, then trade up higher, break the order flow, and now we can look at longs. Okay, so be patient on this pair and just wait and see. Going over to ADN now, let's look at the 4 hour. So what you guys can see is that we now are swing bullish, right? So we are swing bullish, so we could expect to trade up higher in towards a swing high. Now we made a nice low. Why is that? We had our first step in towards this demand zone over here. We had our first step, and then we swiped them and we trade up higher. So we got our second step, and now this is a good low. We also broke the 4 hour fractal in towards the upside. So this means that we created a new demand zone and our order flow is bullish. So we can now trade up higher again after grabbing that liquidity. So what I will do is I will look at the lower time frame confirmation and see if we get confirmation to trade up higher again. Now keep in mind, guys, we are still inside daily supply, okay? So this daily supply is still in control. So longing AJ or AUD Yen isn't the highest probability, because as you guys can see, we are still daily fractal bearish. And let me show that real quick. This is our daily fractal, and we are still bearish, right? So now this supply is in control and could push price down lower. Once again, guys, you can very clearly see that monthly and weekly open pushing price down lower again. So taking a short here is higher probability than taking a long at this moment in time, okay? So that's why I will wait for that daily fractal to break, and then I will look at longs. And why am I looking at longs? Once again, because we took liquidity and because the yen basket should drop, meaning ADN should trade up higher. Going over to NZDN, once again, a very clear price action and very clear bearish order flow, so we could just trade down lower. And what can we see? That we still have liquidity under this low. And let me draw that down for real quick. We still have liquidity and a demand zone still open. So what I'm looking at is just lower prices in towards these liquidity lows over here and a tapping towards the demand. So that is what I am looking at. But going over to the 4 hour, let's see what we have. Okay, on the 4 hour, our order flow is now bullish. So I am not taking any short setups because trading against order flow isn't the best. So longing in this position isn't a plus because we have some liquidity under the lows, and taking a short at this moment in time is not nice because our order flow is bullish. What we would like to see is order flow switch bearish, then a pullback, and then we can short. But the chance that we get a pullback after breaking this low is really low probability, and we will probably just trade down lower. So for now, just wait this one out and see what is happening. Now, of course, we can see that we are 4 hour bullish and that we now took liquidity under this low and that we are going to trade into this swing high probably, or that is a possibility. And we now have that monthly open tap. So we could again trade up higher with that bullish order flow. So on the 4 hour, the setup looks really clean, but on the daily, it is just not that clean with those lows still open. But if we get enough confirmation though, I think longing from here should be nice to trade up in towards the highs. So let's look at the 1 hour to see what I want to see, right? Going over to this demand zone, very clear, and we also have some liquidity, right? So this is very clear, and this could also push price up higher again. So what I'm now waiting for is some confirmation, and then I will know that price could be ready to trade again in towards the highs. So I will keep this long in mind as I see how the yen basket is going to develop itself, right? So that is my trade or thing I'm looking out for today. And once again, very clear order flow on the 1 hour too. We had the demand zone which gets respected, and now we have a demand zone that got respected, and then this is our demand zone that now just got tapped and could push price up higher. Looking at Swiss yen, going over to the daily, and it's a bit unclear, but we just broke the daily fractal yesterday. So once again, we got our first fractal, our second, and now we got even our third fractal break. So we can trade up higher, enough confirmation to trade up higher. Looking at the 4 hour though, I know that a lot of people are buying from this demand zone, right? They think, okay, we have clear demand, we have bullish order flow, and from this demand we will go long. So what is happening? Everyone is buying and their stop losses are over here. What I can see though is that we have some liquidity laying under the lows, and we have a monthly open over here. So what I'm looking at is off that fractal. I know a lot of people are looking to buy at this moment in time, so I want to see them get swiped and then go long. So what I have is my entry kind of somewhere over here, my stop loss underneath this daily fractal, and then just trade up higher, right? So this is what I have, and reason being is just that liquidity, and because everyone is buying from this demand zone. But if we break under the lows, then we can trade up higher. So that is what I'm looking at. Now keep in mind, guys, this is what I will want to see, but of course we could just trade up higher from this amount, right? So I'm not a wizard or anything, but that is what I'm looking at. Going over to CAD Yen, I think that this is very possible because we also broke the trend liquidity and we could take out all of that liquidity. Keep in mind, it's very risky with all the news because this is a CAD pair, so keep that in mind. But as you guys can see, we just tapped this daily demand and we just took lots of liquidity under this low, meaning we could trade up higher. The only thing for this long is that we still are in daily supply, and what does daily supply do? It pushes price down lower. So I'm definitely not taking this long, but I think that this is a possible setup, but I'm not taking it because the daily supply is still in control. But of course, on a 4-hour, fractal low is broken. Now we got a fractal high break, and after grabbing liquidity we could trade up higher. But once again, this is not my setup because I would like to see that daily supply break, right? So maybe this is a daily fractal over here, and I would want to see this daily fractal go, and then only then I will look at longs, right? Boom, boom, boom. So this would be the thing that I'm waiting for. So that was it, guys. I hope you liked it, and see you in the next one. Ciao.